Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the quick update for the Kherson Offensive. So this is the entire of the southern front. We have the Mykolaiv front and the Kherson front, or the Kherson front. And this part, on the eastern side of this southern front, is where the main bout of the Kherson Offensive is currently happening. And as per the last update, the Ukrainian forces have pushed pretty far. They have reached Dudchany, and in the previous report, we actually reported that the Ukrainian forces have pushed pretty far to Mykolaiv. However, this information seems to be, pushed to this part, but it seems to be wrong because of the latest information that I get. The Russian forces actually managed to hold Dudchany. It seems like there is some form of like a misinformation of sort. I'm not sure that the Russian forces is actually able to hold this line, and they have been holding the line for the past 4-5 days. And so the Ukrainians only managed to go until Dudchany. They are unable to go further, and this Russian line continues. They managed to continue to hold this line all the way to the edge of Davydiv Brid. So they did not actually go all the way to Kostromka. They actually able to hold up to the edge of Davydiv Brid, and the Ukrainian forces is actually being held at the Davydiv Brid and the forested area over here, where the Ukrainians are kind of trapped, and they are trying very hard to try to push through, but they did not succeed tentatively. And the Russians have already blown up the pontoon crossing over here, so the Ukrainians now have no easy means of reinforcing the Davydiv Brid region here. They have to go around, perhaps, or they have to go from above. So, and however, the Ukrainians did not give up. They have been currently attacking in this direction, and they have been trying very hard to even at Sadok. And there is confirmation that they have captured Snihurivka. Photo has came out, and they continue to try to push all these lines. There is no fighting around here. There is not of we know. So the push is currently in this direction. And surprisingly, while I thought that the Russian lines would not be able to hold, given the speed of the advance of the Ukrainians, looks like the Ukrainians have too much ground to cover. They did not manage to push fast enough. Perhaps logistics is not able to keep up with the fast withdrawal of the Russians, and now the Russians holding this line from Dudchany all the way to Brodzinsky, perhaps even Kostromka. In fact, they managed to hold this line with reinforcement push arriving just in time to meet all these Ukrainian forces, especially at Dudchany. The Rosgadia was reportedly have arrived at Dudchany to hold up. The Russians have massive amount of artillery in this region, as well as across the river. So there is there's Russian artillery on the other side of the bank of the Dniper River, and they are actually firing onto the Ukrainian forces that is trying to approach and attack the Dudchany region. So this is actually a concurrent. There's also artillery forces attacking the forces that is actually attacking Dudchany. So which is why the entire advance at Dudchany has failed. And so the line is actually not here. It's actually here. And so while the entire Kherson offensive got bogged down, the Ukrainians are tried in other directions. Fighting is reported at Snihurivka, where the Ukrainians are pushing southward at Snihurivka. There is rumors that the Ukrainians have captured Snihurivka, but this proved to be wrong. It's misinformation, probably trying to affect the psychology of the Russian side. The Russian forces continue to hold very strongly at Snihurivka, as this is one of the stronghold. This is a stronghold for the Russians, and there is also reports of fighting at this region here of Snihurivka, where the Ukrainians continue to attack. However, similarly, the Russians are able to hold this position without any problems. So the this area here, this entire Mykolaiv front is held by the VDV. The VDV is the Russian Air Force, airborne, sorry, the Russian airborne troops, and these are considered elites, or at least top of the line forces, and they are regular Russian military. So this is a break from the other parts of the lines where the Ukrainians managed to have big breakthroughs. Those lines that the Ukrainians have big breakthroughs actually are not actually defended by the Russian military. It's actually defended by militias and volunteer forces. So as of latest information, there is a massive regrouping over here at the Kherson region, and there is regrouping over here as well in the Posad-Porovsky region, and we are expecting a major attack from the Ukrainians towards this direction, and perhaps they even might try to go this way or go towards Kherson. So let me draw the arrow nicer. Yeah, this way, and then they actually go towards Kherson. On this side, the advance was actually trying to capture Mykolaiv, and they wanted to at first they actually wanted to go down this way, and they cut across to encircle the forces that was on top. This was gone because the Russians redrawn so quickly, and that there is totally no way to do this encirclement. So with this new line, the objective for the Ukrainians remains the same. The final aim is Berislav in over here, and with the capture of Berislav, they can actually control this crossing at Novokakhovka, and in fact capture this Kakhovka region, and maybe even take the entire hydroelectrical plant, shut off the water to Crimea, and that could be the objective. However, it's looking a little unlikely unless we have news that the Russian lines break again, because every time we saw information of Russian reinforcement, it usually comes with withdrawal the next day. So yeah, the reinforcement tend to come as cover forces for the Russian withdrawal. So that might be the case. So yesterday information is that the Russian line seems to hold very well. Reinforcement arrived. So then reinforcement arrived tend to be bad news for the Russian side. So who knows? So this is the current situation for the Ukrainian Kherson offensive, or at DPA we like to call it the super duper uber Kherson offensive. There is also intel from yesterday that there is a redeployment of forces out of Mykolaiv city. They are moving out in multiple directions. I should draw the lines, the arrow better. Sorry, let me draw the line better. So zoom in a bit. So there is forces moving out of Mykolaiv. It's very weird. So the Russian sources, the pro-Russian sources, they are unable to tell. Sorry, I'll draw this circle nicer. So they are not able to tell where these forces are going, except for the forces that is going over this direction. They are going towards the Kherson Front to reinforce. However, the rest of the forces seems to be moving towards weird directions where they cannot really tell exactly where they are going. As of now, the Kherson offensive is still going strong. The Ukrainians are not giving up. There is a footage. If you see on this side, this video footage is actually on a Humvee. So this footage coming out from the Kherson offensive, where the Ukrainian fast attack groups just penetrate into Russian lines where it is sparsely defended, and they just penetrate through the defense line because there is no heavy entrenchment. They go through the Russian lines and they go deep into the rear, forcing the Russians to actually withdraw because they are unable to hold that position when the Ukrainians are actually fighting behind them. So this was the tactic, but this tactic comes with a lot of casualties because the Russians Air Force is actually operating pretty effectively across the entire front. Many of these fast attack groups are reportedly destroyed by Ka-52 helicopters, and also by artillery. So in the footage, you can see that these Humvees are actually getting shelled by Russian artillery. So of course the artillery is not going to take out this fast moving vehicle so easily. But when you are out in the open, if the Russians have tanks and anti-vehicle weaponry, these vehicles might be sitting ducks. Not sitting duck, but moving ducks. The ducks where they are running and flying and then they got shot down. The kind of duck, I'm not sure what they call it. Turkey shoot, duck shoot, not sure. But it is a good tactic. It is a strategy. That I think that the Ukrainians are using, that is playing to their strength, because they do not have a superior air force. They do not have superior artillery. They do have the MLRS, the HIMARS, the M270s, but these are not tactical weapons. These are actually strategic weapons where you try to hit the rear, and that's what the Ukrainians try to do. They fly in UAVs. They fly in UAVs and try to find where the command post, the supply depots, and then they try to hit it with the MLRS. But it's not tactical weapons. So in terms of tactical, artilleries, for positional warfare, whatever, the Ukrainians are still lagging behind the Russians. So using this Zerg rush kind of tactic, where if you play StarCraft, you probably understand. If not, in layman term, it's simply rushing, rushing your forces, trying to, they call it lightning attacks. You may want to call it that, and trying to penetrate through the rear. That works. And it works effectively against a sparsely guarded front line. So according to the latest information also from the Russian side, is that now they have actually a second line of defense. So because of the reinforcement that they have, perhaps because of the superior number of defenders now, not superior, but increased number of defenders as compared to previously. So this is going to prove to be much more difficult for the Ukrainians to actually penetrate through. But of course, all being said, who knows, this might be misinformation, and then we see another massive collapse over at the Kherson Front, and the Ukrainians just crash through. But tentatively, based on the information that I'm seeing, it doesn't seem to be that case. The Russian line seems to be pretty solid this time around. So anyway, let's see. This is the quick update from the Kherson Offensive, or the Southern Front, and I'll see you in the next update.